Welcome, dear listener. Tonight, you're invited to wander into a quiet forest, a place that lives beyond the reach of wind and noise, where time slows down and every breath brings you closer to sleep. Get comfortable, close your eyes if you like, and let's begin. In a quiet corner of the world, just beyond the hills that hum with bees in the summer, and past the fields where windflowers speak to the breeze, there lived a boy named Eliot. Eliot lived alone in a small wooden cabin tucked beside a river that never rushed. It whispered, always, like a secret it was trying to tell but never quite finished. The water moved in soft, endless patterns curling around smooth stones and fallen leaves. This gentle rhythm was the soundtrack to Eliot's day. Eliot wasn't lonely. He found comfort in the slowness of life, in the warmth of his little wood burning stove, and in the company of birds that visited his window ledge each morning. But sometimes, especially when the sun dipped below the hills and the world turned quiet, he felt a gentle longing, not for people, but for something else, something he couldn't name. One evening, just as twilight painted the sky in soft shades of lavender and rose, Eliot sat on the porch, wrapped in a wool blanket his grandmother had knitted many winters ago. A mug of chamomile tea warmed his hands. The river whispered, the air was still, and then a sound, not part of the usual nighttime symphony, a faint chime, as if someone had struck a tiny silver bell deep in the woods. Eliot looked up. It had come from the forest. Curious, Eliot set down his tea and pulled his boots over his thick socks. He lit a small lantern, more for comfort than for light, and stepped into the trees. The forest was a place Eliot knew well, or so he thought. He had walked its edges, followed its winding trails, and watched the squirrels chase each other through the branches. But tonight, something was different. The trees felt taller, the shadows deeper, and the hush, it was thicker, like a blanket gently draped over the forest floor. He walked slowly, letting the sound guide him. The chime came again, soft, distant, beckoning, and then, through the gaps in the trees, he saw a glow. Not the glow of a flame, something gentler, suspended in the air. Between two ancient oaks floated a lantern. It had no chain, no hand to hold it. It simply hovered, pulsing with a golden light, like a firefly had learned how to dream. Without fear, Eliot followed. The lantern drifted ahead, pausing just long enough for Eliot to catch up. It led him over moss covered stones, past mushrooms that seemed to breathe softly in the dark, and under archways of twisted branches where owl eyes blinked. As he walked, the air grew cooler, not cold, just quiet, the kind of quiet that makes you feel like you're walking through a memory. They passed a creek bed filled with polished blue stones. Eliot paused to touch one. It was warm. The lantern continued. Eliot followed. They crossed a field of tall glass that whispered his name, or maybe it was just a breeze, remembering something. Finally, they arrived. The forest opened into a clearing Eliot had never seen. In its center stood a tree unlike any other. Its bark shimmered silver, and its leaves glowed faintly, as though lit from within. The lantern stopped in front of it and gently dimmed until it vanished. Eliot stepped closer. The air smelled of rain and lavender. Beneath the tree, resting on a bed of moss, was a wooden box. He opened it. Inside were dozens of tiny scrolls, each tied with a silk thread. He picked one and unrolled it. It read, "The quiet you seek is always with you. You only need to remember where to look." Eliot smiled. For the first time in weeks, maybe months, he felt truly still. Eliot stayed beneath the tree for a long time. He read scroll after scroll, each one filled with words that felt like they had been just written for him. They spoke of stillness, of listening, of being enough, just as you are. Eventually, he rose and turned back. The way home felt different. The lantern didn't return, but Eliot no longer needed it. The path, once shadowed, seemed lit from within. When he returned to his cabin, the tea was still warm. He wrapped himself in the blanket, stepped inside, and sat by the fire. He thought of the silver tree, the messages in the scrolls, and of the sound, the faint chime that had led him exactly where he needed to be. That night, as Eliot drifted into sleep, he found himself walking once more, only this time in a dream. He followed a winding path through moonlit grass, the stars hanging low and close, as if watching over him. The path led to a garden he'd never seen in walking life. Tall hedges curved like waves, and flowers glowed in shades no waking world could hold. He heard soft laughter on the breeze, not mocking, but warm, like friends waiting beyond the next bend. In the center of the garden stood a round stone pool. Its surface reflected the sky above, but Eliot could also see memories swimming through it. Childhood dreams, moments of calm, the flicker of a lantern. He stood for a while, simply watching. The peace he felt was whole. Eliot awoke just before dawn. The world was still draped in shadow, and the river outside his window whispered, as always. Something was different. A thin mist hung over the field beyond the trees, and there, rising slowly from the mist, was writing. It shimmered faintly, etched in light. Carry the quiet with you. Speak softly to the world, and it will answer in kind. He stepped outside, wrapped in his blanket, and stood quietly as the message faded with the lifting fog. He didn't need to write it down. it was already inside him. Now, dear listener, as your breath grows slower and your body sinks deeper into rest, imagine that forest, the river that whispers, the lantern that waits, the silver tree that glows. You are safe, you are warm, and just like Eliot, you are exactly where you need to be. Sweet dreams.